Я единственный в огне, кто читает свои сны. Поклоняюсь темноте.
I'm currently writing this on a shitty burner phone, 2 towns over from where my school is. I'm in hiding. I know they're coming after me, and I know they can track me. That's why by the time I'm posting this, I'll already be in some other state. Canada, maybe. I don't know. I just have to tell this story somewhere. Someone needs to know. I went to a pretty shitty high school. In my town, there were 2 different schools for each grade level. One for the rich, one for the poor. There was no in between. Point is, no one important goes to my school. I always thought it was weird that our school wasn't too much worse than the private school. We had similar facilities, sure. Their teachers were probably better, but even without much state funding, we never lagged behind when it came to computers, books, sports equipment, or anything else. Shit never happens to the kids on the other side of town though. Over here, we have 2, sometimes 3 students go missing every year. Always in June, right at the end of the year. It's fucking clockwork, I swear. No one could ever figure it out. Police have no idea. No one knows. In fact, every year in June, we are pretty much on lockdown 24/7. In school and out of it. Kids always went missing during the day. They said they were probably taken on the way to school, or on their way home. I know the truth. The reason I got where I am is so fucking stupid. I fell asleep. Not in class, but in the bathrooms. There was only 10 minutes left of class, so I just went to look at my phone until the day was out. Next thing I knew, it was nearly 8 p.m. and I was well rested. I thought it was fun at this point. My parents had a dinner date, and so they wouldn't be home until 10. I just had to walk home before then, and not get abducted. It wasn't so simple. Making my way out of the cubicle, I opened the bathroom door into an unlit, eerie hallway. It was late evening. Not too dark to see, but not bright enough to make it easy. As I walked down the hallway, I began to feel uneasy. Something wasn't right. I felt anxious, like someone was watching me. I know it's a cliche, but that's how I felt. Probably why I was shocked so much when I saw someone walking down the hall towards me. I ducked into a space between lockers, hoping, praying they didn't catch a sight of me. Luckily, whoever it was walked right past without even a sideways glance. I'm a curious guy, I can't help it. So the first thing that came to mind was, what was this person doing walking around a school? So naturally, I decided to follow them. I wish I didn't. Making their way down the hallway, they made a right turn and walked towards the doors that led out into the patio area, adjacent to the auditorium, which was where they were headed. When I saw them enter the auditorium, I didn't hear loud music or see much light, so it's not like there was some school function I had missed. They entered the building in a pretty weird way, looking over their shoulder and knocking before someone from the inside let them in. At this point, I just had to know, so I walked around the side to take a peek through the windows. Looking in, I saw a strange scene. It looked like how a comedy club was set up. Tables dotted the floor, each occupied by couples. At the front, there was a speaking lectern and 2 poles sprouting up out of the ground, each maybe 6 foot high. Around the building, there was a series of waiters serving food, what looked to be some kind of chicken and a salad. I recognized people in the crowd. There were several of our teachers, including my history teacher, Mr. James, who was always nice to me, even if I was a dick in class. I also saw the head of the county sheriff, but most notably, I saw my own parents. I suppose they weren't lying when they said they were going out to dinner, but why here? Then the principal walked on stage. Miss Strauss. She was an older lady and a bit of a bitch, in all honesty. Anyway, as she made her way up onto the stage and in front of the lectern, the already reasonably quiet audience went silent. I welcome you all here to the annual school auction. As I'm sure you already know, prices start off at $120,000. What the fuck is this? I thought. What could they be auctioning that's worth so much? Is this why our school can afford so much? These thoughts all went away in an instant, replaced with a deep sense of dread. The head of PE, Mr. Sanders, walked onto the stage. Over his shoulder, gagged and tied, was Hannah, a girl I knew from my calculus class. He dumped her down in front of the pole, and then proceeded to tie her up despite her best efforts to free herself. And so here's our first specimen for sale tonight, my principal said. She sounded excited, as if she had been waiting for this moment, practicing in front of a mirror. I felt sick. Hannah Browntree, 17 years of age, 137 pounds, 5'6", and healthy. She was donated by her parents who couldn't be here tonight, but they did give a reason for their choice. I quote, Hannah was a lovely girl, but with another little one on the way, we needed some extra funds, so why not sell her for a good cause? Happy bidding. I'll remind you that once she is sold, it's up to the owner what they want to do with her. I gagged. How could someone sell their own child? I sat down when the bidding started. I couldn't watch. I sat and cried for a good 5 minutes. This was why so many of our students were going missing, and my parents knew. How could they go along with it? I couldn't just let this slide. I had to help in some way, get Hannah out. After they finished, Mr. Sanders came back to manhandle Hannah into the drama office, a room behind the stage. After I saw him drop her in there, and then walk out, I knew what I had to do. Walking around to the other side of the building wasn't hard. I just had to stay below the windows that ran along the side of the building. It was a cold night, but I was sweating bullets. I was sure that if I was found, I'd be killed, or maybe sold into an impromptu auction. Eventually, I made it round back. Obviously, the door into the drama office was locked, but there was a window big enough for a person. The only issue was how I was going to break it and not alert everyone inside. Looking in, I saw that there was 2 kids in there now. Hannah was curled up in a ball facing the corner, and a boy whose face I couldn't quite make out in the dark sat with his back against the wall. I knocked on the window, and they both looked up. I motioned to see if there was any way they could open it from the inside, but it didn't look like there was. Fuck it, time to break it and hope for the best. I don't think it could have gone worse. The window smashed, loud enough to wake the dead. Even so, Hannah managed to make it out before Mr. Sanders and the other 2 men rushed inside to hold down the other boy. We couldn't go back. We ran out the back of the school, through the teacher's car parking and out onto the main road. Behind us, I could hear them getting closer. I deduced that the best way to get away would be to run through the backyards of some houses and into the fields that surrounded the town. Running through, the teachers, particularly Mr. Sanders, were still hot on our trail. No one seemed to even notice us, which, looking back, isn't too weird considering most of the staff of the school lived pretty close by. Eventually, we made it to the fields. In what would be record speed, should running from your teachers be a hobby. But then, Hannah tripped and twisted her ankle. I got her up under her feet, but was spear tackled by another teacher. I knew this was my fight or flight moment. I could stay here and maybe overpower him, but in the end get captured or just run without Hannah. I chose the latter. I expect my parents to know now. I expect everyone who was there that night knows who I am, what I've seen. I can't call the police. I can't do anything. They're coming after me. I know it. My bank account was just frozen by my parents, so buying a plane ticket and leaving isn't on the cards. Not that I could afford one anyway. But, as I said, by the time you're reading this, I'll either be dead or ages far, far away from where I am now. I'm sorry I couldn't save you, Hannah.